Welcome back. At first glance, this Kennedy half-dollar looks like an ordinary coin, but hidden in the smallest details is the reason serious collectors examine it so carefully. Stay with me as we uncover what separates a common example from one that truly stands out in the world of rare coin collecting. First coin. Few American coins create as much curiosity as the Kennedy half-dollar bearing the unusual dual date, 1776, 1976. At first glance, it appears to commemorate 2 centuries of American independence, yet many people who discover one in circulation have no idea whether they are holding an ordinary commemorative issue or a coin with genuine collector significance. The answer is far more complicated than most expect because rarity within this series depends on far more than the date alone. Mint location, strike quality, composition, preservation, certified grade, and even subtle production differences can dramatically influence desirability among collectors. As this story unfolds, you'll discover why millions of these coins were produced, while only a tiny fraction have become elite numismatic treasures, what authenticated examples have actually sold for in the collector marketplace, and why professional grading often makes the difference between a keepsake worth only face value and a remarkable collectible pursued by serious specialists. Understanding those distinctions is what separates casual curiosity from informed collecting, and this bicentennial issue offers one of the most fascinating examples in modern United States coinage. The story begins during one of the most significant anniversaries in American history. As the United States prepared to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, Congress authorized a nationwide commemorative coinage program unlike anything seen in generations. Instead of producing a separate souvenir coin that would never circulate, the government chose to redesign the reverse of 3 familiar denominations, the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar, allowing ordinary Americans to carry the bicentennial celebration in their pockets. Production actually began during 1975 because the mint intentionally skipped coins dated 1975, making every Kennedy half-dollar struck during those 2 years carry the same 1776-1976 inscription. That unusual dating immediately distinguished the coin from every other issue in the series. The obverse retained Gilroy Roberts' iconic portrait of President John F. Kennedy, first introduced after his assassination in 1964, preserving the emotional connection that Americans already associated with the denomination. On the reverse, however, a completely new design appeared. Created by sculptor Seth G. Huntington after winning a national competition, it depicts Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the very building where the Declaration of Independence was debated and adopted. The composition beautifully connected the memory of President Kennedy with the nation's founding ideals, creating a coin that celebrated both American history and national resilience during a decade marked by economic uncertainty, political recovery after Watergate, and preparations for one of the country's largest patriotic celebrations. Although every circulating bicentennial Kennedy half-dollar shares the same date, collectors quickly learn that several distinct versions exist. The Philadelphia Mint struck coins without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint produced examples carrying the familiar D mint mark. Both facilities manufactured large quantities intended for everyday circulation using the standard copper-nickel clad composition surrounding a pure copper core. Each circulating coin weighs approximately 11.34 grams, measures 30.6 millimeters in diameter, features a reeded edge, and maintains the same overall specifications established for post-1970 half-dollars. Meanwhile, the San Francisco Mint produced special collector editions bearing the S mint mark. Some were struck in standard clad proof format with deeply mirrored fields and frosted devices, while others were produced in a special 40% silver composition sold directly to collectors in mint sets. These silver versions contain substantially more precious metal than circulating issues and remain especially attractive because they combine historical significance with intrinsic silver content. The mint also paid extraordinary attention to proof production, polishing dies repeatedly and striking each coin multiple times to enhance detail. Even among San Francisco pieces, however, quality varies depending on handling, storage, and manufacturing precision. This is why experienced collectors never judge a Bicentennial Kennedy half-dollar solely by its date, but instead evaluate its mint origin, composition, finish, and overall preservation before estimating its potential desirability. As these coins entered circulation across America, they quickly became more than ordinary pocket change. Many families deliberately saved examples as patriotic souvenirs, believing they represented a once-in-a-lifetime anniversary that would never be repeated. Banks frequently distributed rolls to customers who intended to preserve them untouched, and children often received bicentennial coins from parents or grandparents as inexpensive keepsakes celebrating the nation's history. Ironically, this widespread saving behavior explains why circulated examples remain common today while simultaneously making superb, virtually flawless business strike specimens surprisingly elusive. Large production numbers do not automatically guarantee abundant high-grade survivors because coins intended for circulation were packaged in heavy bags, transporting in bulk, and subjected to countless contact marks before ever reaching the public. The Kennedy half-dollar already experienced relatively limited circulation compared with smaller denominations, but many bicentennial pieces still acquired abrasions, dull luster, weak strikes, or bag marks long before collectors considered preserving them professionally. As decades passed, countless saved coins also developed fingerprints, haze, environmental tunning, or improper cleaning from well-meaning owners attempting to improve their appearance. Consequently, certified mint state examples exhibiting booming original luster, sharp details, and virtually untouched surfaces have become considerably scarcer than overall mintage figures might suggest, creating a fascinating contrast between common availability and exceptional condition rarity. Collector demand today is driven by far more than nostalgia. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC have demonstrated that even modern commemorative circulation coins can command impressive premiums when they survive in extraordinary condition. A typical circulated bicentennial Kennedy half-dollar generally carries modest collector interest, while attractive uncirculated examples remain affordable for beginning enthusiasts. However, once a certified coin reaches elite mint state levels with exceptional eye appeal, strong strike quality, minimal contact marks, and vibrant original surfaces, competition among registry set collectors increases dramatically. Authenticated examples in outstanding certified grades have sold for roughly $1,250, $2,180, or even around $3,650 depending upon certification, strike designation, and market conditions at the time of sale. Those figures should never be interpreted as applying to every coin bearing the dual date, because they represent carefully evaluated specimens that earned exceptionally high grades from respected third-party grading companies. Certain proof issues and premium quality silver examples have also realized strong prices when preserved flawlessly. The most extraordinary auction records within the Bicentennial Kennedy series belong to extremely high-grade certified coins, rare authenticated varieties, or remarkable mint errors, proving once again that rarity is determined by quality, verification, and collector demand rather than by date alone. For specialists, the search extends well beyond pristine surfaces into the fascinating world of die varieties and mint errors. During high-speed production, the United States Mint occasionally produced coins exhibiting off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, struck-through debris, doubled dies, or dramatic die cracks. Genuine bicentennial Kennedy half-dollar errors, certified by reputable grading services, often attract significant interest because they combine a beloved commemorative design with unusual manufacturing anomalies. Nevertheless, authentication remains absolutely essential since post-mint damage is frequently mistaken for legitimate mint mistakes. Collectors also pay close attention to strike sharpness, particularly around Kennedy's hair, the lettering, Independence Hall, and the intricate architectural details that can appear soft on weaker strikes. Full original mint luster, uninterrupted cartwheel effect, and undisturbed surfaces distinguish premium specimens from coins that merely appear attractive under casual inspection. Natural tunning may enhance eye appeal when it develops gradually through proper storage, producing subtle gold, blue, violet, or champagne hues, whereas artificial coloration or aggressive cleaning usually reduces desirability. Unlike copper coins, the Kennedy half-dollar series is not classified by color designations such as red, red-brown, or brown, making originality, surface preservation, and overall visual quality the primary considerations. These seemingly minor details often separate an ordinary collectible from a highly sought-after certified example that advanced collectors are eager to pursue. Because valuable modern coins increasingly attract counterfeiters, careful authentication has become an essential part of responsible collecting. While fake Bicentennial Kennedy half-dollars are less common than counterfeit gold or early silver rarities, altered mint marks, deceptive replicas, and fabricated error coins regularly appear in the marketplace. Collectors should begin by verifying the correct weight, diameter, edge reading, and metallic characteristics using reliable precision equipment rather than relying solely on appearance. Genuine copper-nickel circulation strikes and authentic 40% silver collector issues possess distinct physical properties that experienced examiners can confirm through non-destructive testing. Magnification often reveals casting bubbles, unnatural surfaces, incorrect lettering, or altered details on counterfeit pieces. Purchasing certified coins already encapsulated by trusted grading services significantly reduces these risks while providing an independent opinion regarding authenticity and condition. Proper preservation is equally important after acquisition. Handling coins only by the edges, avoiding abrasive cleaning, storing them in inert holders free from PVC contamination, maintaining stable temperature and humidity, and protecting them from fingerprints all contribute to long-term preservation. Cleaning should almost always be avoided, because even gentle polishing can permanently remove delicate mint luster and microscopic surface characteristics that professional graders evaluate when assigning a numerical grade. For many collectors, patience and proper storage ultimately preserve more value than any attempt to improve a coin's appearance. Nearly half a century after its introduction, the 1976 Kennedy half-dollar continues to occupy a unique place within American numismatics because it represents far more than a commemorative design. It embodies a national celebration, preserves the memory of President Kennedy, showcases one of the most recognizable patriotic reverses ever placed on circulating coinage, and demonstrates how condition rarity can transform a seemingly common issue into an exceptional collectible. Every surviving example tells a slightly different story shaped by where it was struck, how it circulated, whether it was carefully preserved, and how today's experts evaluate its authenticity and quality. While many bicentennial half-dollars remain affordable historical mementos, a select number distinguished by elite grades, verified mint errors, remarkable eye appeal, or scarce certified characteristics have achieved collector values ranging from approximately $1,480 to about $3,920, with exceptional auction pieces occasionally surpassing those levels when rare attributes converge. Those extraordinary outcomes do not define the entire series. Instead, they highlight how professional authentication, preservation, rarity, and sustained collector demand determine market performance. That enduring combination of history, craftsmanship, and careful evaluation ensures the bicentennial Kennedy half-dollar remains one of the most studied and admired modern United States coins, rewarding collectors who look beyond the date and appreciate the remarkable details hidden within every authenticated example. Next coin. The 1972 Kennedy half-dollar is one of those American coins that often passes unnoticed until someone takes a closer look at the tiny D mint mark positioned above the final 2 digits of the date. To many people, it appears to be nothing more than another modern half-dollar, yet experienced collectors know that this issue has developed a fascinating reputation because exceptional survivors are far scarcer than its enormous production numbers initially suggest. The story behind this coin is not about a rare date or precious metal composition, but about preservation, strike quality, originality, and the remarkable difference that professional grading can make. As this documentary unfolds, you'll discover why certified examples in extraordinary condition have become highly desirable, what characteristics experts examine before assigning collector value, and what authenticated specimens have realized in the marketplace. Understanding those details reveals why two coins with the same date and mint mark can have dramatically different appeal to serious numismatists, even though they were struck during the same year at the very same mint. The coin emerged during an important chapter in American history. By 1972, nearly a decade had passed since President John F. Kennedy's assassination, yet his portrait remained one of the nation's most recognizable symbols of hope and public service. The Kennedy half-dollar had debuted in 1964 as a tribute to the late president, replacing the Franklin half-dollar almost immediately after congressional approval. By the early 1970s, however, the coin's role in everyday commerce had changed dramatically. Half-dollars circulated far less frequently than quarters or dimes because vending machines, cash registers, and consumer habits increasingly favored smaller denominations. At the same time, the United States continued adjusting to the end of circulating silver coinage, a transition that had fundamentally reshaped American coin production only a few years earlier. The economy faced persistent inflationary pressure, rising government spending, and changing monetary policies following the collapse of the Bretton Woods system. Against this backdrop, the Denver Mint continued striking Kennedy half-dollars not as commemorative pieces, but as standard circulating coinage intended to meet the nation's commercial needs, even though many examples would spend surprisingly little time in active circulation. The Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark just above the final digits of the date, produced approximately 141.89 million Kennedy half-dollars in 1972, making it one of the larger mintages within the series. Despite those impressive numbers, production quantity alone tells only part of the story. Each coin was struck from copper-nickel-clad planchets consisting of outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a nearly pure copper core. Every circulation strike weighs approximately 11.34 grams, measures 30.6 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge with 150 reeds. The obverse preserves Gilroy Roberts' distinguished portrait of President Kennedy, based on his presidential inaugural medal, while the reverse continues Frank Gasparo's heraldic eagle, inspired by the presidential seal. The eagle grasps an olive branch and arrows, representing America's enduring balance between peace and strength, while 13 stars above the bird symbolize the original colonies united beneath a ring of 50 stars honoring every state in the Union. Although these design elements remained unchanged throughout much of the series, the quality with which they were transferred from die to coin varied noticeably from one production run to another, making strike sharpness an increasingly important consideration for collectors decades later. Manufacturing millions of half-dollars at high speed inevitably created subtle differences from coin to coin. Fresh dies produced crisp details, satiny luster, and strong lettering, while worn dies gradually softened Kennedy's hair, reduced definition in the eagle's feathers, and weakened portions of the lettering near the rim. Coins were ejected into large storage bins where they struck one another repeatedly before leaving the mint, creating countless contact marks now known as bag marks. Because half-dollars are relatively large and heavy compared with smaller denominations, those marks often became especially noticeable across Kennedy's cheek, jawline, and open fields. As a result, locating an example that escaped heavy abrasions has become increasingly difficult despite the enormous original mintage. Many surviving coins were later stored in drawers, coffee cans, or bank rolls where additional friction dulled their original cartwheel luster. Others entered circulation and acquired scratches, fingerprints, environmental discoloration, or evidence of cleaning. Consequently, while average examples remain common, truly pristine mint-state coins displaying booming original brilliance, minimal contact marks, and exceptional eye appeal have become much scarcer than production statistics alone would suggest. This distinction explains why professional grading services play such a critical role in today's marketplace. Organizations such as PCGS and NGC evaluate each coin according to internationally recognized grading standards, examining strike quality, luster, surface preservation, eye appeal, and originality before assigning a numerical mint state grade. For a 1972 D. Kennedy half-dollar, moving from a respectable mint state grade into the finest certified categories can produce a dramatic increase in collector demand. Registry set collectors, who compete to assemble the highest graded complete collections, actively pursue population report rarities even among otherwise common dates. Authenticated examples certified at elite levels have realized prices around $1,180, approximately $2,340, and in particularly impressive certified conditions have approached about $3,780 when strong bidding developed among advanced collectors. Those values should never be interpreted as typical for every 1972 D. Kennedy half-dollar. They represent carefully authenticated coins possessing extraordinary preservation, superior eye appeal, and certification that inspires buyer confidence. Ordinary circulated examples, or even average uncirculated pieces, generally trade for substantially less because they lack the combination of rarity and condition required to attract intense competition. Although the 1972 D issue is not famous for a single headline-grabbing variety comparable to certain earlier Lincoln cents or Jefferson nickels, collectors still study the series carefully for legitimate die varieties and authentic mint errors. Minor doubled dies, die cracks, struck-through errors, clipped planchets, off-center strikes, and occasional broad strikes have been documented across the Kennedy half-dollar series, though significant examples from 1972 D are relatively uncommon and must always be authenticated individually. Claims of spectacular new varieties regularly appear online, but many are actually the result of machine doubling, circulation damage, or post-mint alteration rather than true mint-produced anomalies. Because no universally recognized major variety defines the 1972 D issue, specialists place greater emphasis on overall preservation and certified quality than on searching for an elusive die variety. Luster becomes especially important during evaluation, as original cartwheel brilliance immediately distinguishes untouched mint state examples from cleaned or artificially enhanced pieces. Since this is a clad coin rather than a copper issue, traditional color designations such as red, red-brown, or brown do not apply. Instead, graders focus on originality of surfaces, natural tunning, uninterrupted luster, and the absence of impairments that would reduce the assigned grade. As values for top-quality modern coins continue to increase, authentication has become more important than ever. Fortunately, counterfeit 1972 D. Kennedy half-dollars remain less common than counterfeit K-date silver dollars or gold coins, but deceptive altered pieces do exist. Unscrupulous individuals have occasionally added mint marks, modified damaged coins, or attempted to manufacture fake mint errors to deceive inexperienced buyers. Careful examination should confirm the correct diameter, weight, edge characteristics, metallic composition, and design details before any significant purchase is made. Magnification often reveals unnatural tooling marks, porous cast surfaces, or altered lettering on counterfeit examples. Purchasing coins already certified by respected third-party grading companies remains one of the safest approaches for collectors seeking premium specimens. Once acquired, preservation becomes equally important. Coins should always be handled only by their edges, stored in archival quality holders free from harmful PVC, protected from excessive humidity and temperature fluctuations, and never polished in an attempt to improve appearance. Even light cleaning can permanently destroy delicate mint luster and microscopic surface characteristics that professional graders depend upon when evaluating originality, frequently reducing both desirability and market value. More than 50 years after it left the Denver Mint, the 1972 D. Kennedy $50 continues to demonstrate that genuine collectability is not determined solely by age, silver content, or low mintage. Instead, it represents one of the clearest examples of how condition rarity transforms an otherwise accessible issue into a serious pursuit for advanced numismatists. Millions were struck, yet only a remarkably small percentage survive, with the exceptional combination of sharp strike, pristine surfaces, vibrant luster, and superior eye appeal necessary to earn the highest certified grades. Those elite survivors consistently attract attention whenever they appear at auction because registry competitors recognize how difficult they are to replace. While authenticated examples in outstanding certified condition have reached values ranging from roughly $1,420 to nearly $3,960, depending on grade, certification, originality, and market demand. Such results should never be assumed for every coin carrying the same date and mint mark. The overwhelming majority remain modest collectibles whose historical importance lies in representing an era of changing American commerce, evolving mint technology, and the enduring legacy of President Kennedy. For collectors willing to study every detail with patience and discipline, the 1972 D. Kennedy $50 offers a compelling reminder that even modern circulating coins can reveal extraordinary stories when examined through the lens of history, craftsmanship, and professional numismatics. Next up, at first glance, the 1974 D. Kennedy $50 seems almost too ordinary to deserve a second look. Its familiar portrait of President John F. Kennedy, its copper-nickel appearance, and the tiny D mint mark tucked beneath Kennedy's neck hardly suggest that collectors have spent decades searching for exceptional examples. Yet experienced numismatists rarely dismiss this coin after a quick glance. Instead, they slow down, rotate it under a light, and begin examining details that most people never notice. Tiny differences in strike quality, surface preservation, mint luster, and originality can transform one coin into an average survivor while making another a prize worthy of serious attention. As this investigation unfolds, you'll see exactly what specialists look for first, why authenticated examples are evaluated so differently from ordinary circulation pieces, and how a handful of remarkable survivors have earned impressive recognition in the collector market without suggesting that every coin bearing the same date and mint mark shares that distinction. The investigation begins in 1974, a year when the United States was facing significant economic and political challenges. Inflation was accelerating, fuel shortages affected daily life following the oil crisis, and Americans were preparing for the nation's upcoming bicentennial celebration just 2 years away. Although the Kennedy $50 had originally debuted in 1964 as a tribute to the fallen president only months after his assassination, its practical role in commerce had steadily diminished during the following decade. Americans simply did not use $50 as frequently as smaller denominations, causing many coins to remain in bank vaults or move slowly through circulation. Nevertheless, the United States Mint continued producing the denomination because it remained an official part of the nation's circulating coinage. At the Denver Mint in Colorado, identified by the small D mint mark located below Kennedy's neck on the obverse, millions of $50 were struck to satisfy anticipated demand. The Denver facility had earned a reputation for efficient high-volume production, but speed often introduced subtle variations that modern collectors now study with remarkable attention. Holding a genuine 1974 D. Kennedy $50 reveals a carefully engineered piece of modern American coinage. The coin is struck on a copper-nickel-clad planchet consisting of outer layers made from 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a core of nearly pure copper. It weighs approximately 11.34 grams, measures 30.6 millimeters in diameter. and features a sharply reeded edge that not only enhances appearance, but also reflects long-standing anti-counterfeiting traditions inherited from earlier precious metal coinage. The obverse portrait, designed by Gilroy Roberts, captures President Kennedy with a calm, forward-looking expression inspired by his presidential inaugural medal. Turning the coin over reveals Frank Gasparo's reverse featuring the heraldic eagle adapted from the presidential seal. The eagle grips arrows and an olive branch, representing military readiness balanced with peace, while 13 stars recall the original colonies beneath a surrounding ring of 50 stars symbolizing the modern Union. Every line, feather, letter, and border bead serves as a clue during authentication, because genuine mint production follows remarkably consistent specifications that experienced collectors learn to recognize almost instinctively. One of the first lessons every advanced collector learns is that large production numbers do not necessarily translate into an abundance of premium quality coins. The Denver Mint produced well over 200 million Kennedy half dollars in 1974, making the date readily available in circulated condition. Yet quantity tells only part of the story. Freshly struck coins were dropped into large bins, transporting in heavy bags, counted by machinery, and shipped across the country before many people ever handled them. During that process, countless coins collided with one another, leaving contact marks across Kennedy's cheek, neck, and the broad open fields surrounding the portrait. Those marks, commonly called bag marks, remain one of the greatest obstacles to finding elite mint state examples today. As we continue examining the coin, notice the highest points of the design. Collectors study Kennedy's hair above the ear, the jawline, the lettering around the rim, and the eagle's breast feathers because weak strikes or excessive wear often appear there first. Original cartwheel luster flowing uninterrupted across the surfaces is another critical indicator. Once that delicate mint frost has been disturbed by cleaning, polishing, or excessive handling, it can never truly be restored. Those observations explain why professional grading has become the foundation of today's collector market. Organizations such as PCGS and NGC examine every important detail under controlled conditions, assigning numerical grades that reflect preservation, strike quality, luster, originality, and overall eye appeal. A circulated 1974 D Kennedy half dollar may possess historical interest, but generally commands only modest collector premiums. However, when an authenticated coin survives with exceptionally clean surfaces, vibrant original luster, and an unusually sharp strike, registry-set collectors begin paying close attention. Certified examples in outstanding mint state condition have realized around $1,360, approximately $2,520, and in especially exceptional certified grades have approached nearly $3,890 during competitive sales. Those results apply only to authenticated coins meeting demanding grading standards, not to every example struck at Denver in 1974. The market consistently rewards originality because once a coin has been cleaned, polished, or improperly stored, its ability to achieve the highest grades usually declines dramatically. This explains why experienced collectors often spend more time evaluating surface quality than simply reading the date. As our examination becomes even more detailed, another question naturally emerges. Could an apparently ordinary 1974 D Kennedy half dollar conceal something unusual? The answer is yes, although patience and careful authentication are essential. Collectors routinely inspect the date, mint mark, lettering, rim, and design details under magnification, searching for legitimate mint-made varieties or production errors. The Kennedy half dollar series includes documented off-center strikes, clipped planchets, struck-through errors, die cracks, and occasional double dies, but no universally recognized major variety defines the standard 1974 D issue in the same way certain famous varieties distinguish other American coins. Many dramatic-looking pieces advertised online actually show machine doubling, circulation damage, or post-mint alteration rather than genuine collectible errors. That is why advanced collectors rely on respected third-party grading services before assigning significant premiums. Because this is a clad coin rather than a copper issue, traditional color classifications such as red or brown are not applicable. Instead, specialists evaluate natural tunning, uninterrupted luster, clean fields, crisp lettering, balance strike quality, and overall visual harmony when determining whether a coin deserves serious attention. The closer we investigate, the more important authentication becomes. Although counterfeit examples of the 1974 D. Kennedy $50 are less common than counterfeit gold coins or key-date Morgan dollars, deceptive alterations still appear in the marketplace. Added mint marks, fabricated mint errors, and cast replicas occasionally deceive inexperienced buyers, making careful inspection essential. Genuine examples should exhibit the correct weight, diameter, metallic composition, and precisely formed reeded edge. Under magnification, counterfeit pieces often reveal porous surfaces, softened lettering, incorrect design details, or evidence of tooling around the mint mark. Purchasing certified examples significantly reduces these risks because professional graders verify authenticity before encapsulating the coin. Proper preservation is equally important after acquisition. Coins should always be handled only by their edges, stored in archival quality holders free from PVC contamination, protected from excessive humidity, and never cleaned with abrasive materials or chemical dips intended to create artificial brilliance. Even the smallest cleaning hairlines can permanently reduce collector appeal because originality remains one of the most highly prized characteristics within modern United States coinage. After following every clue, the true significance of the 1974 D. Kennedy $50 becomes clear. Its appeal is not rooted in a scarce mintage or precious metal content, but in the challenge of locating exceptional survivors that escaped decades of wear, careless handling, and improper storage. Millions left the Denver Mint, yet only a very small fraction retain the extraordinary combination of sharp strike, original mint luster, minimal contact marks, and superior eye appeal required to earn elite certified grades. Those are the examples that attract advanced collectors whenever they appear in major auctions, where authenticated pieces in remarkable condition have achieved values ranging from roughly $1,540 to about $3,970, depending on certification, grade, originality, and current collector demand. Exceptional mint errors or unusually high-grade certified specimens may exceed those levels, but such results belong only to verified rarities and should never be assumed for every 1974 D. Kennedy $50. What ultimately makes this coin so fascinating is the lesson it teaches every collector. True numismatic value is rarely obvious at first glance. It is discovered through careful observation, historical understanding, professional authentication, and a willingness to examine every small detail that most people overlook. Last coin. Millions of Americans have handled Kennedy $50 over the decades, yet surprisingly few pause long enough to notice the small D mint mark beneath President Kennedy's neck, or to consider why certain 1981 D examples have become far more desirable than others. At first glance, this coin appears almost identical to countless $50 struck before and after it, but seasoned collectors know that appearances can be remarkably deceptive. What transforms one ordinary-looking coin into a certified collector prize is rarely obvious without careful examination. Tiny differences in preservation, strike quality, originality, and the journey each coin has taken since leaving the Denver Mint have created a fascinating divide within this seemingly common issue. As this investigation unfolds, we'll examine the history behind the coin, the characteristics experts study before assigning a grade, and later discover how authenticated examples have performed in the collector market, revealing why only a select group of survivors has earned lasting respect among serious numismatists. The story begins in 1981, a year that reflected a changing America. Ronald Reagan had recently entered the White House. Inflation remained a major national concern after the turbulent economic conditions of the late 1970s, and the Federal Reserve continued pursuing aggressive policies aimed at stabilizing the economy. Interest rates remained unusually high. Consumer confidence was gradually rebuilding, and the United States Mint continued producing circulating coinage for commerce despite changing public habits. By this time, the Kennedy half-dollar had become an increasingly uncommon sight in everyday transactions. Introduced in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy after his assassination, the denomination retained deep emotional significance, yet practical demand steadily declined as businesses and consumers relied more heavily on smaller denominations. Even so, the mint continued striking half-dollars because they remained part of the nation's official circulating coinage. The Denver Mint, located in Colorado and identified by the distinctive D Mint mark, played an important role in meeting that production schedule, creating millions of coins that would quietly enter circulation or remain stored in bank vaults for years. Examining the 1981 D. Kennedy half-dollar more closely reveals the remarkable precision behind its manufacture. The coin is struck on a copper-nickel-clad planchet with outer layers composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a nearly pure copper core. Each circulation strike weighs approximately 11.34 grams, measures 30.6 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge that reflects centuries of anti-counterfeiting tradition carried forward into modern coinage. The obverse, designed by Gilroy Roberts, presents a dignified portrait of President Kennedy based on his inaugural medal, capturing a calm yet determined expression. Turning the coin over reveals Frank Gasparo's reverse, depicting the heraldic eagle adapted from the presidential seal. The eagle clutches arrows and an olive branch, symbolizing national strength balanced by a commitment to peace, while 13 stars above the eagle honor the original colonies and 50 surrounding stars represent the states united within the republic. Every design element serves not only an artistic purpose, but also provides important reference points during authentication, as collectors carefully compare lettering, relief, and surface characteristics against genuine mint specifications. Although the Denver Mint produced approximately 33.46 million Kennedy half-dollars in 1981, survival in exceptional condition has proven considerably more challenging than the mintage alone would suggest. High-speed production, transportation in large canvas bags, and routine handling before distribution left countless coins with contact marks almost immediately after striking. The broad open fields surrounding Kennedy's portrait readily display abrasions, while the highest points of the design, including Kennedy's hair, cheek, jawline, and portions of the eagle's breast feathers, often reveal weakness or friction first. Because half-dollars circulated less frequently than quarters or dimes, many examples escaped heavy wear, yet they frequently accumulated storage damage while sitting in bank inventories or private collections. Some owners unknowingly polished their coins, believing bright surfaces increased desirability, while others stored them in holders containing harmful PVC that gradually affected the metal. As a result, collectors today distinguish carefully between ordinary uncirculated coins and those preserving vibrant original cartwheel luster, sharp strikes, clean surfaces, and exceptional eye appeal. Those subtle differences become increasingly significant as certified grades climb into the highest mint state levels. Professional grading transformed the market for modern Kennedy half-dollars because it introduced consistency into evaluating preservation and rarity. Third-party grading companies such as PCGS and NGC examine every authenticated submission under controlled lighting and magnification, assigning numerical grades that reflect strike quality, luster, contact marks, originality, and overall visual appeal. Within the 1981 D issue, registry set collectors compete vigorously for examples occupying the highest certified populations because relatively few survive at the finest levels. Authenticated coins with outstanding preservation have realized approximately $1,290, around $2,470, and in especially elite certified grades have approached nearly $3,840 during competitive sales. Those figures apply only to professionally authenticated coins meeting demanding grading standards and should never be interpreted as representative of every 1981 D. Kennedy half-dollar. Most surviving examples remain affordable collectibles whose value depends largely on condition rather than date alone. The marketplace consistently rewards originality, making untouched surfaces and natural mint luster far more desirable than coins that have been cleaned or otherwise altered after leaving the mint. As specialists continue examining the coin, attention naturally shifts toward varieties and mint errors. Unlike certain famous American coins known for dramatic double dyes or widely recognized design variations, the 1981 D. Kennedy half-dollar is not associated with a single major variety that defines the issue. Nevertheless, genuine mint errors, including off-center strikes, clipped planchets, struck-through debris, die cracks, and occasional broad strikes, have been documented within the broader Kennedy half-dollar series and can command substantial premiums when authenticated. Because such pieces are uncommon, every suspected error deserves careful professional examination before conclusions are drawn. Many unusual-looking coins circulating online actually display machine doubling, environmental damage, or post-mint alteration rather than legitimate mint-produced anomalies. Since this is a clad coin, traditional copper color classifications such as red, red-brown, or brown do not apply. Instead, experts evaluate the continuity of original luster, the natural development of tunning, the sharpness of lettering, the completeness of design details, and the harmony of the overall appearance. These qualities often separate an attractive coin from one worthy of elite registry competition. Authentication has become increasingly important as collector interest in modern certified coinage continues to grow. Although counterfeit 1981 D. Kennedy half-dollars are relatively uncommon compared with counterfeit gold coins or classic silver rarities, altered mint marks, fabricated errors, and cast replicas occasionally enter the marketplace. Experienced collectors begin with measurable characteristics, confirming the correct weight, diameter, metallic composition, edge reading, and design proportions before evaluating finer details under magnification. Genuine mint surfaces exhibit distinctive texture and luster that are difficult to duplicate convincingly, while counterfeit pieces may reveal porous metal, softened lettering, incorrect relief, or evidence of tooling. Purchasing coins already encapsulated by respected grading services provides additional confidence regarding authenticity and assigned grade. Preservation after acquisition is equally important. Coins should be handled only by their edges, stored in inert archival holders, protected from excessive humidity and temperature changes, and never subjected to abrasive cleaning or chemical treatments. Even light polishing permanently alters microscopic surface characteristics that grading professionals evaluate carefully, often reducing both certification potential and long-term collector appeal. More than 4 decades after it was struck, the 1981 D. Kennedy half-dollar continues to demonstrate that true numismatic significance is rarely determined by age alone. Its enduring appeal lies in the remarkable challenge of locating examples that preserve exceptional originality despite years of handling, storage, and changing collector tastes. Millions were produced, but only a relatively small number remain certified in the highest mint state grades with outstanding strike quality, brilliant original luster, and minimal contact marks. Those elite survivors consistently attract advanced collectors because replacing them is considerably more difficult than raw mintage figures might imply. While authenticated examples in extraordinary certified condition have achieved values ranging from roughly $1,610 to nearly $3,990, depending on grade, certification, originality, and market demand, those outcomes belong only to exceptional coins rather than the entire issue. The 1981 D. Kennedy half-dollar ultimately reminds us that every coin carries 2 stories: the history it represents and the condition in which that history survives. Sometimes the smallest details reveal the greatest discoveries.